we sort of started off. I guess my Christmas is coming early this year, in April. Uh, to be getting cardiac arrest, I mean, it's unbelievable. That within 2 weeks that I'll be able to sit up here and going home with my wife and family, and it's totally blessed. I want to thank the command staff, especially Lieutenant Sherman, that do the initial CPR, and the professional team who came in and just gave me a new chapter of life.
How do you feel?
Very great. I mean, even better than before.
Corporal, when this type of thing happens, a lot of times you remember one last thing and then you wake up and you're wondering what happened. Tell us what the last thing you remember and the next thing you remember was when you woke up.
I remember answering fellow officers asking for assistance. And we were going down, and that was the last thing I remember. And a couple of days later, I woke up and I realized I was in the hospital.
So was it like instantaneous for you? You were going down, the next thing you know, you were waking up?
No, to me, it seemed like it, you know. But when I look at my watch and all that, it has been 2 days. You know, since the time that I went down, and the time that I woke up. So.
You said it feels like Christmas came early. What are you most looking forward to doing once you go home?
I'm just glad that to be back in my warm bed and to spend some time with my kids and my wife.
When you found out that the officer to your right administered CPR, may have saved your life, what went through your mind?
You know, it wouldn't be for him and another lady right there, and you know, I wouldn't be here. You know, because every second I know that it's very, very important for my life.
Lieutenant, you were with him that day. What happened?
We just finished eating lunch probably an hour before we responded to a call with some fellow officers, and we started biking back down the trail. And the next thing I know is he's off in the grass. And I mean, it just happened that way.
So that training that you've had your whole life, I mean your whole career, you don't never know if you're going to use it, but boy, did it come in handy this time.
It did, and with the help of Jennifer, I mean, she really saved the day. She came out of her back door, asked if she could do anything, and there was a communication issue, and she called in, and then she jumped over her fence, and then she helped me with the CPR.
How long did you have to give CPR?
I broke when the fire department finally showed up. So whatever time engine 19 arrived, that's when I disengaged and let them go on. I could not give you any time. I did it until the fire department came.
Did you just do chest compressions? I know they've gone back and forth over the last couple of years about whether to even take the time to breathe in and then do the chest compressions, which, were you current?
No, I just did the compressions. My wife works for the for the fire department, and she's an ex-paramedic. It looked like he was breathing on, that his airway wasn't blocked. So my thing was I had to keep the blood flowing, the heart pumping. And Jennifer came out and she administered the rest.
In your career, you've been through a lot of stress, a lot of adrenaline. Where does this rank up? I mean, you had to be pretty.
I've been in a fight over my gun. I've been shot at. This is number one by far. This got way on a personal level too, because it just happened right there.
Dr. Choi, what was wrong with him?
dead. When he got here, he was dead. Another piece that Officer Sherman doesn't tell you that's really, really unique to this beautiful story is that that's the first time they rode together ever in his long career, was that day. And for him to have a wife who's a paramedic that can, you're right on, CPR was critical. It's just the compressions, and that allowed him to have enough time to get to here. Baylor, we love our police officers, especially the Dallas force, to get here to administer the other cares. And so when you have a heart attack, there's two ways you go. One is electrical, where you go into an arrhythmia and your heart functionally stops. And then ultimately, your heart pump fails, so you have pump failure. And Jimmy had both of those, so he was really, really dead on arrival. He had very, very little blood pressure. He had to be supported from an airway standpoint by a ventilator. We brought him immediately to the cath lab, where the cause of it was coronary artery disease. He had blockages in all of his three major arteries. That's something typically that we'd send to open heart surgery, but in the condition that he was in, that wasn't the right thing to do, and we stented open some arteries. With that, we tried some other maneuvers to help support his heart, and at each one of those levels, it didn't work, so we had to escalate to what we call ECMO, which is functionally bypass surgery, where a machine not only breathes for you, but pumps for your heart. And we hope that provides enough time for the other maneuvers to happen, where his heart ultimately kicks in.
So if he didn't have a paramedic's husband standing next to him who knew exactly what to do, how much time would he have had? Sounds like he bought at least, certainly enough time to get him here, maybe 20 minutes till the EMTs got there. Had that not happened, how much time would he have had?
Well, he needed, I wouldn't necessarily a paramedic. Jennifer's out there, she's a Dallas resident. She, as Officer Sherman said, did as much, and it's just CPR. There's one message, it's the importance. You can save a loved one or a stranger by knowing CPR.
How long had he not had CPR would he have lasted?
Only God knows that one.
Minutes?
Could have been. The key is the pumping, like you said, and he's supporting, getting enough vigorous pumps to support his brain and his other organs. And then I guess the paramedics probably delivered a shock that got him into rhythm, and then ultimately transferred here. But when he got here, even in the emergency room, he had another arrest that required a shock before he even got to our cath lab.
It sounds like he had issues with possibly 3 arteries. Are you a little surprised that he didn't see some of those warning signs that so many people talk about, since he does ride a bike every day?
There's two parts to that. One is, so the leading killer of American men and women is coronary heart disease. And when Jimmy looks back, he had some warning signs they didn't know about at the time. And it's not uncommon, especially in someone's Jimmy's age, where your first episode is a heart attack. Unfortunately for him, his was a really, really dramatic one.
What were the signs that he might have picked up on had he known better?
I noticed that, like when I been down doing something, yard work and all that, and all of a sudden when I come up, I see the twinkle lights, and stuff like that. I just ignored it, in the past, and because I look at myself in the mirror as a very fit person, and not anymore. So I'm just gonna do everything I can just to, protect this second chance that I have in life.
I would even go so far as to say the fact that he was active and is as active as he is, that really helped him survive this. If you're not, his other organs are well conditioned that it can survive a big insult like this. And I remember in the moments, in the hours that he was in the cath lab, we have a wonderful team out there who should be recognized. There are, for Baylor, if we use the police analogy, they're our SWAT team back there in their blues. Romeo, Erica, Jennifer, and Tammy out there. But at points, when he first came in, he had basically no blood flow. And then we put this device in to assist his blood flow, he'd get some cardiac output. And he was a fighter. He fought us to the point where he was wanting to come off the table. And I remember talking to Chief Brown at that point. It really, really did not look good. I really did not. We all hoped that we would be here, but I was not optimistic. I said, one thing that gives me a little bit of hope is he's a fighter. He was fighting. We actually had to paralyze him to put in that other device. So he was jumping off the table.
You were fairly blunt when you first started speaking, but some of us weren't able to get from the lieutenant to you in time. In what condition, what would describe his condition when he arrived at the hospital?
He's dead. He's really dead. He's fully supported on a ventilator, pressers. Those are blood medicines to keep your heart up, and he's in full-blown cardiogenic shock. He's basically dead.
Jimmy, how appreciative are you going to be for every day from now on?
There's no word to say anything, now I look at the life differently than what I used to, and I'm gonna do the regular checkup, follow the doctor's direction, and get enough exercise, get enough rest, and have quality time with the family.
Corporal, when will you go back to work?
I'm gonna have to go through all the therapy and all that, and well, after that, we'll have to look at that and see if they're gonna release me.
Can he be a bike cop again, or no?
Absolutely. So, in the midst of all that he was doing, we measure how strong a heart is by what we call an ejection fraction. A normal ejection fraction is 55% or higher. His was in the single digits. Today, and an echo we did just the other day, his heart functions back to normal.
So he's okay to be a bike cop?
Absolutely. Well, he was doing it with the handicap of those blockages. Now he's got those arteries open. He's going to chase bad guys even faster.
Jimmy, do you want to chase bad guys on a bike, or do you want to be in a squad car?
I'm looking forward, to go back on a bike again. Sure.
Lieutenant Sherman, you mentioned that this happened really quickly. What was going on in your mind as you're watching this happen?
After he fell, I knew it wasn't, where the tire got caught, where he just fell over. I realized it was more than that, and I just did what I needed to. I just did it. I just did what I needed to do. It's second nature. Did what I had to do, and I did it.
So Jimmy, when you were riding your bike and before it happened, any pain or anything, or just all of a sudden you're blacked out, or what?
I can have, looking back, what the energy that I have now, I might have a little fatigue, like I said, a little twinkle when I stand still and move around, and that was the sign that I have, Other than that, no.
So you're just pedaling and then
Yeah,
you don't remember anything?
when it hit, after 2 days, I remember that. Now, not so good.
Do you mind if we ask how old you are?
I'm 56.
You can make sure that everybody you partner with from now on knows CPR.
So it doesn't necessarily have to do with with being overweight or being unhealthy. It can be genetically, I guess. Maybe is that where you tie it to? Or?
There's genetics and it's diet. It's coronary artery disease of wealthy nations, and by that I mean well-fed nations. It's largely diet.
Thank you.
Quick question. I know it's kind of been like a close call. If I'm not mistaken, was that your son that was involved in a very close, could have been accident in Fort Worth?
That's correct. It was a day before that I had a heart attack. My son was out of control and working accident on the freeway. And he was just seconds away, being killed out there. Because they have car coming too fast, hit his squad car and smoke it beyond recognizables.
Your wife must be ready to tear her hair out.
That's something,
I mean, do you think that had something to do with it? That had to be pretty stressful. I mean, do you think there was some lasting effect? Because everybody in the Metroplex saw the pictures of your son's car and know that he probably wouldn't be with us had he gotten in that car seconds later. So do you think there was any carryover?
I texted him that night, when he got off, and he notified me right away, and he said that Dad, I was just in a close call, and I didn't know what happened. So he sent me a picture of his squad car, so I realized how bad it was. We text back and forth, and I stopped. That was the last contact I had with him until, when I woke up from the hospital bed. And I saw him on my side.
So sum up the week for the Tonri Vong family. Just, you hope he got, sorry, go ahead.
It's a miracle. Miracle. You have to escape from death and then being out here and be able to have a second chance again.
Your son escapes death, the very next day you escape death. Can you talk about that a little bit, just how incredible that is for one family to go through that 1 week?
There's no word to describe that. It's just like I said, Christmas must be coming early for Tommy Wong's family.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.